I got to admit, I do like movies that are based off of video games, even ones that I've never played. And one of them is a film that's celebrating its 25th anniversary with Angelina Jolie as its titular character, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. But does this film really deserve the hate still after 25 years? Or am I going to have to prove to them that they're completely wrong and give this film some good old fashioned Big D justice? Find out right now as I review Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a review of the 2001 action adventure flick Lara Croft Tomb Raider, released by Paramount, along with the Mutual Film Company, directed by Simon West, ran by Patrick Massett and John Zinman, based on the Tomb Raider video game series by the developer Core Design. It was an international co-production between the US, Canada, the UK, Japan, and Germany, starring Angelina Jolie in the title role, along with Jon Voight, Iain Glen, Noah Taylor, and Daniel Craig. The story revolves around the Tomb Raider herself, Lara Croft, trying to obtain ancient artifacts in competition with the Illuminati. The film was released here in the US and Canada on this day, June 15th, 2001. It would open in Germany about 13 days later, almost 2 weeks afterwards, and then a week later in the UK, and then in October of that year in Japan. While despite being dissed by critics, it still became a big success. Of course, the titular character's sex appeal was scaled down for the film following pressure from Eidos Interactive, the publisher of the game franchise, and to ensure a PG-13 rating by the MPAA. While despite getting hate by the critics, it still, however, got praise for its leading performance by Angelina Jolie. Let's get into the story. Adventurer Lara Croft defeats a robot in an Egyptian tomb, revealed to be a training exercise arena in her family manor, where she lives with her technical assistant Bryce and butler Hillary. In Venice, as the first phase of a planetary alignment begins, the Illuminati search for a key to rejoin halves of a mysterious artifact, the Triangle, which must be completed by the final phase, a solar eclipse. Manfred Powell assures the Cabal that the artifact is almost ready, but has no real idea of its location. Laura's father, Lord Richard Croft, long missing and presumed dead, appears to her in a dream. Laura awakens to a mysterious ticking and finds a strange clock hidden inside the manor. On her way to consult a friend of her father's, Wilson, Laura crosses paths with Alex West, an American associate and fellow adventurer. Laura shows Wilson the clock, and he puts her in touch with Powell. Laura shows Powell. I'm sorry, I keep pronouncing Laura instead of Laura. Laura shows Powell photographs of the clock, which he claims not to recognize. That night, armed commandos invade the house and steal the clock, bringing it to Powell. The next morning, a prearranged letter from Laura's father arrives, explaining that the clock is the key to retrieving the House of the Triangle of Light, an ancient object with the power to control time. After misuse of its power destroyed an entire city, the triangle was separated. One half was hidden in a tomb at Angkor, Cambodia, and the other in the ruined city at Ukok Plateau in Siberia. Her father tasks her to find and destroy both pieces before the Illuminati can exploit the triangle's power. In Cambodia, Lara finds Powell, who has hired West and his commandos already at the temple. West solves part of the temple's puzzle, and Powell prepares to insert the clock at the moment of alignment. Lara, realizing They made a mistake, finds the correct keyhole. With only seconds left, Lara persuades Powell to throw her the clock. She unlocks the first piece of the triangle, and the statues of the temple come to life and then attack the intruders. West, Powell, and his remaining men flee with the clock, leaving Lara to defeat an enormous six-armed guardian statue. She escapes with the first piece. Recovering at a Buddhist monastery, she arranges a meeting with Powell. In Venice, Italy, Powell proposes a partnership to find the triangle and informs Lara that her father was a member of the Illuminati and offers to use the triangle's power to resurrect him. Though reluctant, she agrees to join forces. Lara and Bryce travel with Powell, West, and the leader of the Illuminati to Siberia. Entering the tomb, they discover a giant orrery which activates as the alignment nears completion. Lara retrieves the second half of the triangle, and Powell kills the Illuminati's leader to restore the triangle himself. But the halves will not fuse. Realizing Lara knows the solution, Powell kills West to persuade her to complete the triangle to restore West's and her father's lives. Lara complies but seizes the triangle herself. Now, for the last bit of the story, which is the ending, so you stop this video at once, go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen this movie already, please continue once the 5 seconds are up. Okay, you've been warned. In a crossing of time, Lara faces her father, who urges her to destroy the triangle for good rather than save his life. Returning to the tomb, Lara manipulates time to save West and stab Powell, and destroys the triangle. The tomb begins to collapse, and all flee but the wounded Powell, who reveals to Lara that he murdered her father. After a hand-to-hand fight, she kills Powell, retrieves her father's pocket watch, and escapes the tomb. Back in her manor, Lara visits her father's memorial and finds that Bryce has reprogrammed the robot, and Hillary presents her with her pistols, which she takes with a smile. End of story. So, what did I think of Lara Croft Tomb Raider? Now, I've seen this a few times. This was kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I will say this film was a pretty good film in ways, and I don't care what critics say. Sure, I'm going to say that the critics were harsh on the plot and action sequences, but criticism on the action sequences, you know why I say that? Cock swallow. This had some pretty darn good action sequences, especially when we see the um the bad guys break in while Lars doing her little excuse me bungee ballet. I think that's what it was called. I think that's what it was called since I have the video cassette of a special edition. But anyway, yeah. But I thought that was fun. It still had some decent ones and what have you. Anyway, the film did open strong, surpassing Shrek and Atlantis: The Lost Empire when it opened, which that film I was going to review, but I decided since that didn't do so high, I decided to put it on hold. Anyway, it still did well, but it got harsh reviews from a lot. Rotten Tomatoes has this at a mere 20%, where they say Angelina Jolie is perfect for the role of Lara Croft, but even she can't save the movie from a senseless plot and action sequences with no emotional impact. Well, the plot is fine and what have you, but not great though. And as I've said for action sequences, who cares? This had some good action sequences. Maybe not great, but good in my opinion. Metacritic has a score 33, and Audiences Pub by Cinema Score gave this a B. But IGN gave the film the lowest out of all scores, a measly 0.0 disaster rating. Condemning everything from character performances to the ending. Ouch. Tom McCarthy of Variety said the film has the distinction of being a major motion picture that's far less imaginative and quite a bit more stupid than the interactive game it's based on. But however, praised Jolie, but says everything else about this frenetic production is flat and unexciting. However, Roger Ebert was positive on this, giving it 3 out of 4 stars, saying the film elevates goofiness to an art form. Here is a movie so monumentally silly, yet so wondrous to look at, that only a churl could find fault. Well, despite they gave it the lowest out of all scores, years later in 2018, IGN reported that the film was generally regarded as one of the better video game adaptations. In 2021, British GQ listed the film as one of the only video game adaptations worth watching. And in 2023, The Vulture also commented that the film was one of the select few times a big budget video game movie has actually worked. But anywho, the film got nominated for numerous awards and what have you. So, apparently, yeah. Angelina Jolie got nominated for a Razzie for Worst Actress, but lost to Mariah Carey for Glitter. Which that's another film I haven't tackled. I don't know when I'm going to talk about that one. I know that film didn't do so hot, and I'm kind of away fan of Mariah's, but let's try and get off this subject. But the film also got nominated for 2 MTV Movie Awards, a Kids' Choice Award, and 3 Saturn Awards, but unfortunately lost all of them. Despite the negative response from critics, this film still became a success, going on to make $274 million worldwide on its $115 million budget. Despite being adjusted for inflation, the film remains the second highest grossing live action adaptation of a video game at the domestic box office. So that's pretty good, actually. Eventually, it also surpassed the opening record for a film featuring a female protagonist, which was more recently held by the original Scary Movie, which came out the previous year, as well as the opening record for a video game adaptation, surpassing Pokemon the first movie. The film maintained its status as the highest grossing video game adaptation until Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time in 2010, and remains one of the highest grossing video game to film adaptations in ways. But anyway, the film went on to have a sequel in Lara Croft Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life, which was released 2 years later. Now, if this video does decent enough, maybe I'll review that one down the road, okay? But overall, I found the film to be pretty good and fun. Now, however, while its sequel kind of underperformed in ways, but still did okay, but not great, it got rebooted in 2018. But I'll explain more when I get to those. So, again, if this does fine, I might review its sequel and maybe the reboot later on. The film's score was composed by Graham Revell, who has done the scores for numerous films and wanted too many to mention. The film was directed by Simon West, who had recently directed Con Air. After this, he would go on to direct the remake of The Mechanic and The Expendables 2. Oh, yeah, he also directed The General's Daughter before this, as well as the 2006 remake of When a Stranger Calls. So that's pretty good and what have you. So anyway, I found Lara Croft Tomb Raider to be not too bad. Don't mind what some critics say. They're just being ignorant and what have you, or something like that. But you don't have to take my word for it. Please stand by. Sorry, everyone. I had to check on something. Alright, now for the cast, we have Angelina Jolie in the role of Lara Croft. And I must admit, she does one hell of a job in playing that character. She's really good in this. Iain Glen played Manfred Powell. He's pretty good. Jon Voight played Lord Richard Croft. Not too bad, pretty good. Alex West is played by Daniel Craig long before he even became James Bond 5 years later. Noah Taylor played Bryce. He's pretty good. We had Richard Johnson as the distinguished gentleman, Chris Barry as Hillary, Gillian Ryan Tutt as Mr. Prims, and Leslie Phillips as the character of Wilson. So the characters aren't too bad. Sure, this could be a hit or miss in your opinion, but you be the judge and what have you. So overall, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, it's not as bad as you think they say it is. It's fine. Sure, its story could have used some spin polish in some parts. And don't mind what they say about the action sequences. Again, I think that's Codswallop, a bunch of phony baloney. But anyway, I think it was pretty awesome and what have you. Although I rarely can recall seeing its sequel, but I have seen it though. And I have seen the 2018 film, which I actually like just a little bit more than this, but don't hate me for saying that. But anyway, would I recommend this? Well, I'd say if you're an Angelina Jolie fan, then I'd say go for it. Or if you're not too sure, then I would recommend this a one-time watch. That's all I can tell you. So, what did you think of Lara Croft Tomb Raider? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big B Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you'll know the rest. And if you would like for me to review the sequel, make sure, well, if this vid gets 20 or more views, then maybe you are more than welcome to let me know if you would like to see a review of its sequel down the road, and I'll try and do it. Okay. Join me next time when I review Nacho Libre with Jack Black. So if you like this, check out my reviews for two of these films that Simon West has done. In the upper left hand corner is my review of Con Air from 1997. The upper right hand corner is my review of The Expendables 2 from 2012. Or if you would like more Angelina Jolie, you can check out my review of Mr. and Mrs. Smith from 2005. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.